Hello everyone, Brett Kelly here for another Tuesday Tech Tip at 45 Drive. So this week I'm doing kind of a little bit of a part two. A couple weeks ago I came on and I talked about making an offline copy of package repositories for RHEL systems. In particular I was doing it on Rocky, but really all you need to know is I did it for RPMs. And it's really easy. They make that stuff really easy. You know who doesn't make it really easy? Apt. Debian, Ubuntu, their package managers are a little trickier. For those at home rolling their eyes at me, yeah, I admit maybe because I'm a RHEL guy at heart that I prefer the other way, but I said if anyone was interested, we'll show you how we do it with the apt repos as well. And there was at least one comment, so at least one person was interested, so this is for you. We're going to go through and pretty much do what I did in that video, but I'm not going to cheat. I'm actually going to show you the full process. And we're just going to show you how you can create a complete offline copy of the main Ubuntu repos, our 45 Drives repos, and a couple other ones that we use to enable customers in air-gapped situations to have full access to everything. People may be familiar with using apt-mir to do this. We're actually going to use a tool called Aptly. Aptly is an incredibly powerful tool, and we'll get into the why it's so useful when I get to the screen cap. Again, I'm not going into the details. Aptly can do some pretty crazy stuff, but I find it's a little nicer than apt-mir to do what we needed to do. So without further ado, let me show you how it works. All right, so here we are at the screen, and we're taking a look at Aptly's landing page here. So just wanted to start here, show you, and you know what, I'm going to do a little bit of reading. Aptly is a Swiss Army knife for Debian repository management. It allows you to mirror remote repositories, manage local package repositories, take snapshots, pull new versions of packages along with dependencies, publish as Debian repository. And again, every time I say Debian, obviously Ubuntu as well, because it uses the same framework. And you can try it out for free. So I guess why I'm reading that is Aptly is an incredibly powerful tool. You can use this to create a whole separate mirror of Ubuntu repos, Debian repos, your own personal repos mixed with a bunch of other ones. Say you have a fleet of servers in your care of your facility, and they keep pushing updates that break stuff. So you want to use, I don't know, your version of kind of a certain snapshot of packages. Aptly is really great, and that's kind of what this is built for. What we're using it for is actually to just keep a synced mirror, and then we create an ISO really that we can distribute to people, kind of as a snapshot of the official Ubuntu repos, the Ceph repos, some NFS Ganesha stuff, and our own 45 Drives repos. So I guess why I'm saying this is Aptly is really powerful. We're going through the basics of it right now. I'm not going to touch on all the things it can do because I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know all the things it can do yet, but we'll show you what it does for us. So let's hop open to a terminal. Hop open. Oh man. Anyway, I'm just going to move on from that. So we're taking a look at one of our servers here. So this is where we build and host packages, and it just does a lot of different roles here at 45 Drives. But what I'm going to do is, why I've done this is, if you watched our other video, I kind of stopped halfway through because it was going to take forever to download all the packages. I already have all the Ubuntu packages downloaded onto this server, so we can just kind of go through the whole thing like we started from scratch, and we don't have to wait. It's kind of like those cooking shows, you know, where they go and show you all the prep time, and then boom, magically they have a separate one they've already prepared. So imagine me on the Food Network right now. I don't know. I'm riffing, and I should really get back on task. So I'm going to launch into this container. You guys don't necessarily have to use containers, but that's what we do here. So long story short, I'm going to run Aptly real quick. I guess I could show you how to install it. If you follow the instructions on their website here, it's very easy to install. There, I showed you. So essentially what you do with Aptly is you create mirrors. And what is a mirror, you say? Well, a mirror would be, let me do one of the commands. So a mirror would be mirror create, and say I wanted to create a mirror of our 45 Drives repo. So I'd give it the URL, man, my words aren't working today, Debian, however you want to say it, the distribution, and then the components. In this case, I want everything out of my repo, so I would do this command. If you were doing the Ubuntu repos, well, you'd go create Ubuntu-main and then give the URL to that, focal, and then whatever components you want. I'm going to run this command. It's going to fail because I already have it. But my point is, this is what you do to create a mirror. It knows where to look. It's almost like creating a Git repo local on your machine. Once you do a pull, it'll go and pull down all the things it needs. That's why this command finished right away. Well, I guess it failed right away, but it would finish right away if you're doing this from scratch, because all it's doing is creating a mirror that points somewhere. It actually hasn't downloaded any packages yet. So let me give you just a little mirror list. So here's all the mirrors I have created on our server here. So we got 45 drives, Ceph, 2 of those are for NFS Ganesha, and then all the Ubuntu pieces for main, universe, and multiverse, and then all its backports, updates, and all that fun stuff. So for those at home, you would do a mirror, create, I don't know, any one of these, give it this path you're seeing, and then the distribution you wanted. Aptly smart enough, if you don't give it the components, it'll find everything, whatever. You guys can dive into the details of what pieces you want downloaded by checking out the Aptly docs. Long story short is, you first create a mirror. So here's all my mirrors. So what you do from here now is, you'd want to actually download the packages. So you go mirror update. You know what, I'm going to the docs because I don't remember off the top of my head. It's the nice thing when you write scripts, you forget the details. Yeah, so you'd go mirror update. So mirror update actually is what pulls everything down. So mirror update, and then you just give it the name of the one, because remember, we already have 45 drives here. So let's run this. Okay, so let's show you these 2 things. Notice how the download queue was 2 items. If I did aptly mirror show 45 drives, there's 253 packages in this. It only downloaded 2 because I already had them downloaded. And this is the beautiful part of this. As things change, you can just periodically run update again, like I just did, and it'll just grab the new packages. If there isn't any new packages, it just says there's no new packages. So what's great is you do that first kind of ingest of everything. Like I said, there was 253 here. Let me show you the main Ubuntu. Which one? Let's do backports. Not backports. We'll do updates, universe. No, I wanted to show it to you, not update it. Look at me. My point is, there's 4,000 packages here. Some of them get huge. Like, I think they get into the tens of thousands of packages. My point is, you don't want to re-download those every time. So this just intelligently grabs the new stuff for you. Okay, I digress. Let me get back to my point. So you make a mirror. And let's do this. Let's go mirror list raw, spits it all out. And let's go pipe that into xargs. I'm just going to update all these at once. Xargs -n1 aptly mirror update, and then you leave it. So what this is going to do is it's going to go through each line one by one and then update those mirrors. Okay, good. It didn't make me a liar. I always screw up xarg commands. So you notice how it's not pulling anything down? Because we update these almost every day. So those 2 packages we got earlier is because we just released some new things. But this is what you do to keep your packages up to date. So that's great. You've got your packages here, but they're not actually usable yet. You have to, well, when this finishes, we'll talk about what's going to the next step. All right, so when the update's finished, so obviously if there was a lot of packages update, but that process never takes too long, 5-10 minutes at most if you haven't run it in a while. But that's something you could throw in a cron task, or what we do is we have it hooked up to GitHub workflows, and when we have periodic checks. Anyway, I'm going to spare you the details there. But like I said, I've got my mirrors, and they're all updated. Could I use these packages yet? No, you can't actually use these packages yet, because the way Aptly works is it really just kind of keeps an updated database here. What it wants you to do now is almost take a, not almost, exactly, take a snapshot, and then you publish that snapshot. And then when you publish it, it puts all the packages in the directory structure that you're used to seeing. with Debian repos, the dists in the pool. Right now, oh, pull up OBS. I'm not supposed to show you how the sausage gets made. If I go into repo, you'll notice typically like DB and pool, that's what gets created by Aptly here. But if I showed you what was in pool right now, nothing. Like that's not usable. But if you look over in public packages and maybe 45 drives, nothing, because we haven't published it yet. So let me show you how we change this gobbledygook into something usable. So we're going to go Aptly snapshot. I'm going to try to do this off the top of my head, but again, we script this stuff, so I never quite remember it. Create, no, I'm going to the docs. So we go snapshot, because we want to create a snapshot of this repository that we have, and then we're going to publish it. I don't know why I did that sound. Trying to fill time, you know, guys? Okay, so create. I want to create a snapshot called 45 drives. Maybe you want to give it a date on it. The way our process works is we just make it and we kind of destroy it, so like it'll change. But the point is this is a unique name for your snapshot. In my case, I'm just going to call it 45 drives here. And I'm going to say, take that snapshot from mirror 45 drives, because that was the mirror I had. So I'll create that. And of course, my syntax is wrong. Aptly snapshot create 45 drives from mirror. I didn't spell it right. There we go. Okay, now that the snapshot of 45 drives is created, we can actually publish this thing. So what publishing actually does is makes all that gobbledygook that I talked about usable. So let's go to Aptly Publish. You know what? I saved this command for easier use because it's a long one and we script it and I can never quite remember it off the top of my head. So before we get into that, I just want to show you a kind of important part of Aptly. It's aptly.conf, so this kind of tells it some default things like which directory to work out of, download concurrency, all kinds of GPG stuff. But what I want to show you right now is the file system publish endpoints. So by default, if I publish this thing to the file system, as you can see, you can actually publish it to S3 and stuff too, which is like what I was saying, Aptly is incredibly powerful. But that's not what we're talking about. So I want to put it on a file system. So by default, it would just put it in the root dir / public, which is fine for me, but how we have it structured, we want it one other directory. So what we do is we define one of these publish endpoints, these file system endpoints, and I have to specifically say I want it published there. If not, it'll end up in the directory it's not supposed to be, and things just get annoying. So with that said, I've got my handy command here, so I'll copy it in, and we'll just talk through the arguments before I actually run it. Is it going to run? No, it didn't run yet. Good. I don't like the syntax. I'm going to copy this in piece by piece. There, that's a little better. Okay, so real quick, we're going to go Aptly skip contents. What Aptly does when it runs the first time it publishes it, it reads the contents of each package and creates an index for it. This takes a really long time, particularly with the Ubuntu repos, like up to 12 hours. And in our case, we don't care to have that stuff cached, so we just skip it. Your mileage may vary, but you're pretty safe to skip it. Next, you have to tell it which GPG provider, because I think I mentioned earlier, with Aptly, we're essentially making a repo. We're publishing our own repo. We're not really copying it and hosting it again. We're copying, amalgamating, yeah, I like that word, and resharing back out. So it's safely what you should do is sign that thing again, so anyone using your repo know it's yours, not, I don't know, someone didn't sneak something sneaky in there. I don't know why that sounded funny in my own head, but I laughed at it, whatever. Batch, which is like do not prompt me for a password, and then give it the password file. So this is all our internal GPG keys. If for whatever reason you're doing this and you do not care about signing this, you can just put the - skip signing, and it'll just move right past it. Anyway, there's more to this command, but I'll just run that for now. And then next we actually have to tell it what we want published. So I'm gonna have to change the command real quick. So we wanna go publish the snapshot we just created, which is 45 drives, And then we have to specify the endpoint. Remember, this is what I was talking about in the Aptly conf file. So it's file system, and then the name of what you're doing, and then the mirror. You can have multiple, whatever, but this is all I want for now. So I'm going to run this command. It signs it with our GPG key, and it writes it out. So what actually did that just do? Well, see DB pool, that's what apt mirror maintains. But in public, and then packages, you see 45 drives. What's in that? Disks and pools. Ah, doesn't that look awful familiar to this page? So now this thing's actually usable. Sorry, again, I just love showing you guys OBS. Actually makes it usable. So that, the files in this directory, we can, I don't know, point our servers towards this, and we can get all our packages. You may be going, hold on. You're not hosting this yet. There's no HTTP link. How the heck am I going to get to this? Well, I'll leave that part up to you. You can spin up your own web server. If you noticed in the output of Aptly, there is a nice little aptly serve command, which it literally does just start a web server for you for this for your repos on port 8080 by default. You can change that. They don't recommend it for production because if you're putting something on the web, you should be putting a proper web server in front of this, whether it's Apache, Nginx, or whatever. But it could be something as simple as a little Python server that just shares out the directory. Or you could then take these packages and write them to, say, an ISO file, mount that on a server, and then you could just point your files, point your apt sources towards that, and it would grab the files either way. So this part is kind of like, well, how do you want your people to access? But I guess my point is now is this is a complete mirror of the 45 drives repo. You would now go and do this for every other repo that you want mirrored, and now you've got it. The syntax of what that would look like is, I'm just going to type it here, file 1, 2, 3. Say you mounted it at mount repo, and then you would go 45 drives, focal, main. If you put that in an apt, like a offline.list, and put that in Etsy apt sources.list, sorry for butchering that, but you know, those who know, you know which path I'm talking about. If you drop that file in there, you can now download packages from this repo, and it will not leave the internet. If you rinse and repeat this process I just did for all the other ones, all the other mirrors I have defined, then you will have yourself a complete working system, or a complete working offline repository. If you need to keep that updated, well, you just do the update command I talked about before, create another snapshot and publish that snapshot. Point everyone towards that one. So if anyone's watching this and hasn't used Aptly yet, this is kind of the basics. If anyone's watching this who has used Aptly, you're probably going, dude, it can do so much more. And I know that, because this is a really cool tool. But why don't you guys tell us, what else can this thing do? Because this is enough to solve our problems. So talked web server, that's how you do that magic. And then I guess some of the cleanup commands, say you're done, you want to get rid of what you just did. Well, you'd go Aptly Publish, drop 45 drives. I think we go, actually, you know what, let me list it first. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up real quick, and we'll wrap this video up. So publish list. So this is the file system that we've published to. Aptly, look, I'm losing steam, guys. I think the video is almost done. I joke. Drop, and I think, is that the syntax? No, it lied to me. It's the other way around. You go focal, because it wants to know the distribution, slash, and then which one. Nope, didn't like that one either. What is the right notation? You're making me a liar here, guys. Maybe I dropped file system. Nope, that's not it either. Oh, it's a space. Ha, you dummy. Okay, it's not it's distribution space the whatever you published. So focal space this, not slash. Again, We automate all this, so I don't remember these commands off the top of my head. I swear to God, I do know it. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I am not kidding. I don't know. Now I'm just rambling. So I'm going to wrap this up and stop. With that published repo dropped, it's not being served anymore. Maybe you don't want that snapshot anymore either. You do the same thing, drop 45 drives, and then you're kind of back to square one. You can update your packages again, take another snap, push it out. So that's kind of our Aptly crash course. Hopefully that was helpful, and that's it. So that was it. That was our video on the basics of Aptly for creating offline repositories. I hope you guys found that useful. I hope you enjoyed it. And well, you know what? It's like Red Green said. If the women don't find you handsome, at least they'll find you handy. And that's what we try to do with these tech tips. We want to teach you something. So remember, everyone, keep your stick on the ice. Catch you next week.